Okay, y'all, my video had cut out, or I don't know. You know how the devil operates. So I had re recorded it last night, but I remembered that I had missed some key details. Like the Lord had placed it on my mind that I had forgot some key details. So I wanted to rewind back a little bit before we get to talking about this sermon. So when I came back from Detroit, I knew that I was on assignment. Like I already knew and I already said like I'm not going to be here for long. I don't know how long God's going to keep me here, but just know that it won't be long and this is not a permanent stay. But over time, I found myself kind of getting comfortable because I was in Detroit, I was around family, and I wasn't upset that I was around family for the first time and I had so much love in my heart, so much peace within myself that to me it was kind of like, I mean, in my, as far as I'm concerned, everything's forgiven. Like, I love my family, I love being around my family, it's refreshing to be around my family. um I'm not feeling anger towards my parents. Like, it was just a whole different ball game for me from how it started before I left Vegas to now. So eventually we had a family meeting, and God had placed it on my heart to do this. I had to tell my mom everything that I had went through when I was younger, and everything that I'm telling y'all right now is the same things that I told her. And as I'm telling her this, like, she's just sitting there, and I was like crying and stuff like that. I had took her in her room and told her this by herself. She was crying and everything. I mean, I was crying and everything, and she was just sitting there. And all I can remember her really saying is like, "Now we told y'all how many times not to. I mean, to tell us if stuff like this happened, and I can't believe you went through all this and stuff like that." And I'm just like, I didn't know how to tell. Like, I didn't know how to tell. And then eventually she came out, and then she told my dad like we needed to have a family meeting. He called a family meeting. So we got all the siblings over there except one, because my mom had some, like, in my eyes, it was hatred towards him, to be honest. Like, it was hatred. It was stone cold hatred. She did not like him. Like, I don't care what anybody says. She didn't like him. Like, he was a bad kid, but she didn't really help his case. Basically, like, she didn't help his case. Like, she provoked him a lot. I remember that. She definitely did a lot to him, and he did a lot to her too. So they both were in like this power trip battle with each other. And ironically, they both were raised by the same father. Her father raised him, and he turned out to be how he was. And that's just what it was. And also, he had like mental issues too. So it was like all those things playing together. But we had the family meeting. All the siblings came over. Well, my sibling who didn't live with us, she came over, and we were all there. And we had the meeting. And we all got the moment. Like, we all finally got that chance to sit down and tell our parents like how they affected us, the things that we had gotten ourselves into, like, and all kinds of stuff. And my mom, she is sitting there and she's taking it all in. And then after my sister says something that she did to her, like, she just like breaks. She's like, I didn't do that, and like all this stuff. And she like freaks out, walks away, storms off, goes back to like smoke or whatever. And my sister, she trying to leave, and I'm like, no, don't leave, because we need to have this. We need this to happen, because in my mind, I remember God kept telling me like a house divided cannot stand. And all I'm thinking is like we're having the like God opened the door for this to happen so that we can all finally heal from this stuff. That's all I was thinking. I was like, we're gonna heal from this, and God's gonna restore our family, and like we're gonna be strong, because that's all I could think about. And then I'm also listening to what my mom's saying about the church and stuff like that, and like how my siblings felt being in church. And I'm like, it's obvious that they're trying to break our family apart, because my dad was favored, and everybody else they kind of like treated like crap. And it was weird. It was so weird. But yeah, and I'm like, well, God is obviously trying to strengthen our family and stuff like that. That's all I'm thinking, because I'm just thinking of the goodness of God, and I'm thinking of like the positive result that's to come out of it. After we have the family meeting, Like it was heavy because it was a lot that was said. But my mom, she made it about her. Like she just all I kept hearing was you this and you this and you that and you this, and it was like it was never meant for you to make this about you. It was all for you to see. This is what we went through. This is how you guys affected us. But despite all of the things that we had went through, like we forgive you. Like we forgive you, like it's in the past and we are ready to move on from it. But for some reason, like that's just not what she was gathering from it. So I remember I was at work, and I'm not sure if I even said this in the last video. So if I'm repeating this, forgive me. But I was at work and God had spoke to me. He told me to go say, um, he told me when I go home to tell my mom that the point of it was for us to show her what forgiveness looks like, and that she's got to get up and not allow this to defeat her. So I was like, and in the very beginning before I went, God told me to deal with her aggressively. Like he told me that. He told me that I needed to deal with her aggressively. I didn't understand why, but I knew that he told me that. So when I went home, I had told her like, yo, I'm like looking at her and she like sulking. And she like, yeah, I'm just so hurt because I can't believe all this stuff happened to y'all and nobody told me, and all I keep hearing is that I'm just a bad mom and I'm just a horrible parent and all this stuff, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, get up. Like, I understand that this was like a lot for you, but I'm like, you got to get up. You can't sit here and just allow this to defeat you. You allowing the enemy to get inside your mind, because when she starts talking about like that bad mom stuff and all that stuff, I'm like, that ain't nothing but the enemy. So I'm like, yeah, you got to get up. Like, you over here doing all this. And then I started like coaching. Like, I started sounding like a coach. Like, how I looked at it, I was like a coach. But how she was trying to play it was like, I was just screaming and yelling in her face, jumping up in her face. She called my dad. Come on, she here screaming and yelling at me and all this stuff. And like, she just made it out to be a lot worse than what it actually was. And at the time, I didn't like that. But I was like, I'm just doing what God told me to do. She's like, God ain't tell me. God ain't going to tell you to do that. God ain't going to tell you to do that because I don't even like when people yell at me. And mind you, this is the same person who I grew up with, who was doing the exact same thing to us. Like, we didn't get time to process how we felt. We didn't get time to like get over our pain. We had to just keep pushing. So in my eyes, that's what I was doing, was telling her like, yeah, you got to keep pushing. Like, I understand like this was a lot, but you got to keep pushing. And now looking back in hindsight, I realized that that was the whole point. God was trying to show her what it felt like being somebody on the receiving end of that. And I didn't even realize it, because I have my dad over here talking to me, telling me like, yeah, you can't do that and stuff like that. Like, mind you, my dad, he has never stood up to her. Like, he's never said anything to her. And I don't have nothing against my dad, but at this point, like, I truly don't care. And it's really frustrating because it felt like he was trying to water down what I was supposed to do as well to please her. And that's what it was all about. It was like, anytime she would talk, she'd be like, yeah, like, I like when people talk to me calm because I listen and stuff like that. Like how he talks, she like talking about like how my brother talk and stuff like that. And I'm like, everybody's not going to talk to her like she wants them to talk, like she wants them to talk to her. And like, I'm feeling already like I'm just the oddball out. And it had got to a point where I had broke down and I'm like, Lord, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand what the point of this is, because she trying to like make like I'm doing all this horrible stuff and like I'm acting aggressive towards her, which I was not. I was just being bold. I was just speaking with authority. That's what it was. I was speaking with authority. And on another side, you got my dad over here like, well, the Bible says this, and the Bible says this, and the Bible says this. And I got so tired of like hearing what the Bible says, because I'm like, I've read the whole Bible, and it sounds like a whole lot of I leaned on my own understanding, because what God's word actually says does not match up or correlate with what y'all be saying that the Bible says. Like, it just don't. So I remember I had started breaking down and I'm like, Lord, this is too much. Like I don't understand. And like it's the gift of prophecy and it's like the whole calling of being a prophet. And I don't even like calling myself a prophet, but I know that that's what God called me to be because it is such a heavy calling and it is such a calling that just takes so much out of you and like you just it's a lot. And those who are prophets of God, like y'all know, and I mean the true prophets, not the dress up and make believe ones. But yeah, it's a tough calling. And I'm in the door and I'm like, and I'm getting hot, and I'm like, Lord, I don't understand this. And then I remember my dad saying, a prophet without honor. I mean, a prophet is without honor in his own house. And then he said that because that's what happened to Jesus when he went back to Bethlehem, or where was it? Yeah, Bethlehem, I believe. And he tried to heal them and they basically rejected him. And that's what it started to feel like. Like I was getting rejected. But I kept pushing. So after all this happened, um, back on the topic about the church. So yeah, God gave me the dream and I'm trying to speak on the potter's house, but I'm turning to a different page. And the page was in Jeremiah. And you know what? Let me look in my notebook and find out what scripture it was because I got to get reference. Hold on, y'all. Okay, so yeah. And it's so funny because it's written in red. And I'm going to tell y'all why it's written in red. But the verse was Jeremiah 6:13, verses 13 through 17. So that's what the came up in my dream. So I woke up and I was like, Lord, what did that mean? Like, I don't understand that. Like, what did that mean? And I went to work that day and then I was by myself because in the mornings I would always be by myself for a few hours until the next person came in. So I'm in work and I'm still pondering about this dream. Like, what did that mean? And God has spoke to me. He said, when you go home, I want you to get a notebook and then I want you to write down everything that I tell you to. And I was like, oh, okay. Got you, Lord. Thank you for answering, thinking it's about to be cool. But the verse, when I read it, I was like, that was like, whoa, like that was crazy. Like what is about to go down? So when I get home, I grab my notebook. I don't do nothing else. I grab my notebook and then I go into the basement because I felt like that was like the most quietest place that I could be. I went into the basement, and when I went down to the basement, there I was looking for a pen, and like while I was upstairs until I went in the basement, I was like, I know he gotta have a pen on his computer desk. So I go downstairs, and there's a red pen sitting right there in the middle of the floor, like right there. And I was like, oh, this God mean business. So I get to writing it down, and when I'm writing it down, it's just flowing. I'm hearing God, He talking to me, and I'm writing down everything that He's saying. And after He finishes, I read it, and I'm like, oh wow, this is sharp, like this is heavy, like this is a heavy word. And he's like, that's what I want you to speak Sunday. And I'm like, Lord, but what about the one that you had me right before about the potter's house? Like I thought that was cool. And like it turns out, like after I spoke and everything, and after all of it had happened, that God was giving me a choice. And it was either I was going to take the easy way or I was going to go the hard way and do what God wanted me to do and be obedient to that. Or He was going to find somebody else to do it. And my relationship with God is so like I'm doing whatever God tell me to do. Like I don't care who it hurts. I don't care who gets upset. I don't care who gets offended. I'm doing whatever God told me to do because that's something I don't want. I don't want God taking what He has for me and giving it to somebody else all because of my own disobedience. Like I don't want that. So I really had to go back and forth. And when I finally decided, like, yeah, I have to do this. Because I started to think, and I'm like, it's like I was getting thoughts from God about how this was supposed to help people come into repentance and things like that. And that's all I could think about. And it was never ever about me. It was never about me. Like whenever I'm doing things now, I'm doing them because God wants me to. And I'm doing it for the benefit of whoever God has me doing them for, towards, or anything like that. Like I'm doing it because God wants me to, because I know it's going to benefit that person. So if I have to be the one on the chopping block, that is perfectly fine with me. But as long as it sets somebody free in the end, I know that God has me. Like I can be on the chopping block in the physical, but I know that God is upping me in the spiritual. I know that God is covering me in the spiritual. So whatever chopping block I'm on, I don't care. As long as somebody gets set free from it. And if somebody gets set free from it, I know for a fact that it came from God. That is like how I know that I operated in obedience and not disobedience and not out of pride. So Sunday come, like as the days go on, I'm super like I'm just like I can't believe I have to do this. And God had already spoke to me as I'm in prayer. He already gave me the vision of what was going to happen when after I spoke. He showed me the people of the church turning against me, not liking me, not receiving the word, uh, gossiping about me. He showed me all of it. He showed me the result of what was going to happen after I spoke. So I was already prepared, but I was also like, that sucks because these people are going to act like that towards me when all I'm doing is being obedient to God. All I'm doing is doing what God asked me to do. But at the end of the day, it was like, it is what it is. So that Sunday comes, and I'm really like, Lord, I need you to be with me. I need you to show me that you are here with me. I was like, when I get into church, Lord, I need you to show me your presence or something. I need you to flicker a light or something. I get to church and everything is happening before service and stuff like that. And I'm standing there in the front because I would always sit in the front. And then I look up and the light flickers like above the organ. And I was like, oh my God, like you're here with me. Like you are so faithful. Thank you so much, Jesus. Like, ooh, thank you. So right before I get ready to speak, the bishop gets up and he's like, oh, I want to call this young lady up here. I'm so proud of her and her journey that she has been on with God. Excuse me, with God. Like it is so wonderful seeing like her journey and how far she's come, and you can really tell that this is real for her and that she has a heart for God and all this stuff. Mind you, he's saying all this stuff. This is Palm Sunday, y'all. Palm Sunday. If you read your Bible, you know exactly what happened on Palm Sunday with the palms. I mean, with the palms in the Bible and Jesus going into Jerusalem and stuff like that. Y'all already know. So this is happening, and then I get up there and I speak, and I tell these people like, God puts me in uncomfortable positions and I really don't like them, but I have to be obedient to him. I'm telling them all these things. I'm like, I don't want to have to do this, but again, I have to be obedient to God. This is not something that I wanted to do. So I get to speaking, and at first they all like they happy. But as I get to speaking and go on, you can see the faces and you can feel the heaviness of the congregation. They didn't like what I was talking about at all. At all. Like it wasn't something about them getting married. It wasn't something about the money coming to them. It wasn't something about like anything to make them feel good. It was the cold hard truth. And all I was telling them was like, yeah, this is what God is seeing that's happening within this church. And it's not even about the specific church. It's about all churches, because at the end of it, I had said like everyone under the sound of my voice, and like God is judging like the church. Like when you think of the church, you think of the body of Christ. So I'm saying all these things and they taking it personal, like extremely personal. And they taking it personal without even realizing that they're being convicted. So I'm saying all these things about like just repenting and making the focus about Jesus. The focus has to be Jesus, because if it's not about Jesus, then you're not doing what God needs you to do and stuff like that. Like I will post the sermon after I get my testimony out so that y'all can hear it for yourselves and see it. But it is on my TikTok if you want to go scroll down and watch it. So yeah, it was a real word. It was from God. God had completely took over because I couldn't do it. I was shaking. Like I was nervous. But when he took over, I knew that he took over. And then afterwards, Jesus was with me the whole time because he was like, I want you to keep your head up and I want you to stand confidently. Don't allow what his words or what he's saying up there about you get to you. You did what you were supposed to do. So I did exactly that. And after that, it was like a whole switch flipped. And the bishop, he got up there talking about judge not, or you will be judged in the same way that you judge. And why do you see the sawdust in your brother's eye without taking a plank out of your own? And he was just like saying all these scriptures towards me. But realistically, he wasn't saying it towards me. He was saying it to God because God is the one who spoke through me. It was not me. It was not me. And then he spent the entire service. His message was about Hosanna and Jesus going to Jerusalem and the people cheering on him when he got there. But then a few days later, they was yelling, "Crucify him!" And that's exactly what was happening to me. They cheered on me. They cheered me on in the beginning, and then towards the end, within those few minutes, they switched and they were crucifying me. And the church was like cheering him on, pray, like agreeing with everything he was saying. He was talking about you got saved 30 days and think you know more than me and all this stuff. Basically making me, trying to make me feel like just because I had just surrendered my life to God, that I was not worthy enough to be used by God in the way that God used me. Mind you, I didn't put myself up there in that pulpit. He did. I didn't offer to speak. He came to me to speak. God had orchestrated all of it so perfectly, but they thought that they had control and they didn't. And when they found out they didn't have control, that's when the mask came completely off. And that's what revealed the whole truth. And he was exposed before his congregation. However, the congregation was so brainwashed that they couldn't see that. They couldn't see that. Those with eyes that could see, saw. Those with ears that could hear, heard. And they took heed and they followed in the path of God and decided to ask God to examine their hearts and show them what they needed to work on and stuff like that on the way to repentance. But then, no, they were moving in heavy pride. Heavy pride. And it was like smear campaign, character assassination, like just straight up Jezebelic demonic activity. And I didn't allow it to get to me, but it definitely was like, Lord, I don't want to come back to the church. And God told me, like, no, you're going to go back until I tell you not to. Because if you don't go, then you're going to allow the enemy to have that win over you. And I was like, yeah, that ain't happening. Yeah, that ain't happening. So I go home that night, go to sleep. I slept like a baby, y'all. Like I slept so good. And I was I was out like a light. Woke up, felt refreshed and everything. Go outside to go to work. My car is broken into. Somebody tried to steal my car. Now, mind you, I have a Kia. We all know the whole story with the Kias. But it was just so ironic that it happened that next day. And in their religion and how they believe God operates is that God's going to strike you if you do something wrong. No, that's not how God works. God gives you grace and God gives you mercy. That was straight up from the devil. That was demonic. I don't know if they did it, but I don't put it past them to have done it. You know what I'm saying? So it was like that happened. Then my mom's in there. She was like, oh, yeah, they did that. They did that. Because ain't nobody car been getting broken into and stuff like that around here. And we asking the neighbors to see if they can see anything on their cameras, which is pointing directly there. They like, oh, no, we looked at the cameras. We ain't see nothing. Like, how does that happen? So I keep it moving. Not even worried about it. Not even heard about it because I'm like, I don't care. Like, this is what happens when I do what God tells me to do. The enemy attacks immediately and he makes himself so, like, he embarrasses himself every time because it's like, I know that it's you and I'm not stupid and I am so wrapped up in God, so wrapped up in Jesus that I can tell when it's the devil and when it's God. God will convict me. God did not convict me. And I am submissive to when God convicts me. I'm not running from that because If I'm not getting convicted, then there's something wrong. So time goes on, and then my Easter comes. The next Sunday comes. He's doing the same thing, dragging me in the pulpit, talking about me. Can't stay on topic about his message because he has to make it about me. They come out, and he like did something petty. Like they come out, he's like, all hail the bishop, or all rise for the bishop, and stuff like that, because that's what was said in the message. And they were like laughing, like, ha ha, this is so funny. And to me, I was like, that's petty. And then my dad's sitting up there laughing too. And I'm like, how are you sitting up here laughing and this man is like doing this? And it's not even that. It's like the first Sunday he did it, you said nothing, and you're an elder on his leadership board. The elder is supposed to be the one to give wise counsel. No, people just hand out titles these days. They don't know what the titles mean. So I'm like, okay, not understanding that. Next Sunday, he do the same thing, and then they do that. Dad's up there laughing. Okay, he's still not saying nothing. The following Sunday, that's when things get crazy. So my mom, she was like hyped up about it. Like the whole time after I had did the message, like hyped up about it. Not even taking heed herself. Like this was not like an attack towards them. This was a message for anybody who heard this message. This is a message for the body of Christ. You call yourself a believer in Jesus, the message was for you. So she talking about, yeah, oh yeah, it was deep. But I don't think that she was actually like comprehending it and actually looking herself in the mirror as well. I think that she saw the message and she saw it as God moving on her behalf, as if God just does things for us, like on our behalf because we want him to. No, that wasn't the case. So I'm constantly hearing her like talk about this, and I'm like, I'm really tired of hearing her talk about it because she telling everybody, and then like she just so hyped up about it. And I'm like, I don't care that this man was acting like this. I'm like, God's gonna handle what he's gonna handle. I'm not worried about that. I did what God told me to do, and that is all that matters to me. I was ready to move on. Like I didn't care for the drama. I truly, truly did not. I didn't care for the drama. I didn't care for the gossip because I'm on my journey with God. I'm not trying to do anything to compromise where I'm at with God. Like I got to keep moving. So after that, the following Sunday, that week, she made a post and she was like, I came home one day because she kept saying like, I just want God to let me speak. I want God to let me do something. And I could tell in my spirit that she really wanted to be the one that God used to do it. I could tell in my spirit that she wanted to get an assignment from God. I just knew. I just knew. And one day I'm at work and she called me. And high key, I was so annoyed with the whole thing. I had made a Facebook post and I had said like how I'm just so tired of everybody taking God lightly, and then everybody's looking at me as if I did something wrong when all I did was what God told me to do. I was so tired of hearing the gossip about it. I was so tired of hearing how my mom was getting hyped up about it. I went to work and I was crying. I broke down crying because I'm like, this is so heavy, Lord. Like this is too much. It's like I do what you told me to do, and like she's looking at it as an opportunity for drama, and then now her and my sister are talking about it, like, oh yeah, she did this and she did it, and it was just like it was constantly like, oh yeah, she spoke and it was like I didn't do this, God did it. Like all I was thinking was like that God did it, and it's like they were trying to put the glory on me, and I'm like refusing it. I'm rebuking it because like no, I'm not taking the glory for this because that was all God. And it was just so much because it was becoming so much, just constantly hearing about it, constantly hearing about what they did and how they deserved it and stuff like that, that I cried out to God that morning and I told him like, Lord, I like this is too much. Like I didn't come, like I don't know what the assignment is overall, but I didn't come here for this. Like this is too like all this drama. I'm tired of hearing about it. I kept telling him like, Lord, I don't know what you got to do, but I'm tired of hearing her talk about it. So she calls me and I'm crying. I'm like, I start crying on the phone, telling her like, I'm tired of hearing y'all talk about this. And she not listening to anything that I'm telling her. Like she like, yeah, I know, I know you tired, babe, but you just did what God told you to do. And then she like, but God gave me an assignment. Listen, you gotta listen, cause God told me that I have to go apologize. And I was like, okay, good. Because like, or no, she said, no, I'm ahead of myself. So that day I go home and I'm driving home and I get a notification that says she had made a post. And I'm like, oh my God. Lo and behold, the post, I read it and I'm like, why would she do this? Why would she do this? And God has whispered to me immediately, she was always going to do it. It was always going to happen. He said it was always going to happen. So I'm just like, I can't believe this. I walk in the house, she on the phone, getting even more hyped up. And she like, yeah, my father told me I could finally speak and stuff like that. And it's just nasty. What she said on there was just nasty. And it was not in the character of God. It was not something that God would have told her to say. No. Mama wanted to make that about her. She wanted to make the whole situation about her. So the next day goes on and she calls me again while I'm at work. And she's like, oh my God, God gave me an assignment. And I'm like, okay, what is it? And she was like, he told me I got to go apologize in front of the whole church for what I said. And I don't even want to do it for real. But I got to do it because God told me to. And I was like, that makes sense. Like humility. Because why would you post that? Why would you say stuff like that on Facebook? So leading up to it, she kept saying like, yeah, I'm gonna do what God told me to do, and they probably gonna jump me. She just kept saying that, like, they probably gonna jump me. And I don't want y'all to do nothing. Just let them beat on me. Just let them beat on me. And I'm over here like, why would they do that? Like, why would they jump you? Like, that don't even make sense. Like, they gonna jump you. They gonna jump you. I'm like, they don't, like, at first I was like, they don't even care that much about you to even like all the drama that she was telling me. I would always just think in my head like, these people can't care this much about her, because the way she was making it, like, they care so much about her. And I was just like, this is just so stupid. But I was like, well, you gotta go. I was like, well, you gotta be obedient to God. Like, if he told you to go apologize, you gotta go apologize. And my dad over here like, God ain't tell her that. God ain't tell her to do that. Like, no, God ain't tell her to do that. And I'm like, I don't know. Sound like something God would tell her to do. Like, you just went on Facebook and did all that and called yourself speaking out, but you did it in such a nasty, horrible way. Definitely seems like God will make you like put you in a seat of humility and make you go apologize to those very people that you never wanted to apologize to in the first place. So this leading up, she just kept saying like, yeah, they're gonna probably jump me. They're gonna probably jump me. So the night before that Sunday, I was in prayer and God had told me like, you're gonna feel my spirit very heavy tomorrow. And I was like, okay. Because I'm like, it's God's spirit. I don't even care. So the next day I wake up, and indeed I did wake up feeling God's spirit very heavy. And like, I'm walking around, I'm getting dressed, and I'm just like, Lord, I don't know what's about to happen, but cover me, protect my family. That's all I kept saying. Cover me, protect my family. And then like when we getting ready to leave, my mom comes out the room and she like, oh my God, he switched it. It switched. And I'm like, what? Me and my sister like, what are you talking about? She's like, he just switched something. She's like, let's go. He just switched on. I was like, oh, maybe they're gonna be receptive of her apology and like it's all gonna be good and like, they finally gonna like get over this and move on. Y'all, that was the furthest of things. That was the furthest of things. So we go to the church and we get there a little early. And when we walk in the door, everybody looked like they had seen a ghost. And then all of a sudden, I see like all his people start going into his office, in and out the office, in and out the office. Like the girl who's praying, she up there praying and she like shaking as she praying. And I'm not understanding what's going on. And then they calling my dad into his office because they didn't want us singing. So it was like, okay, God already told me that we wasn't gonna be singing. Like he already told me that y'all was gonna do this. So wasn't worried about that. But I'm just feeling God's spirits, like exactly how he told me that I was going to feel it. And it got to a point where I had went in the bathroom and I had cried out to God. And I'm like, Jesus, I need you. Like, I need you to protect me. I don't know what's going on. I just kept saying that. And I didn't know why. But I kept saying it. All for A little later, the lady who was supposed to speak, she came and prayed over me. I don't like everybody praying on me. I don't like people putting their hands on me, praying over me, anything. So she's praying, and I'm not receiving anything that she's praying over me. I'm not, because I don't know this lady, and I don't know where, like, what your background is. I don't know your relationship with Jesus. I don't know you. As far, and I already don't like, this church is also like corrupted. So I don't want nobody praying over me. So after she does that, the kids dance, and then my mom, she, after they finish dancing, they doing announcements or something, and my mom reaches for his grandmother's hand, and she says, "Hey, can you ask them if I could apologize to the bishop in the church, because God sent me here to apologize to the bishop in the church." And the grandma starts making a scene for no reason at all. She like, "Oh, well, they're not gonna let you speak because you gotta apologize to the bishop." And I'm confused because I'm like, she just said that that's what she wanted to do. So then the bishop comes over there, snatches his grandma away, and then my mom, she like gets irritated, and she just gets up, goes to grab the keys from my dad, and I'm like, "No, you're supposed to be here to do what God told you to do. Like, you got to be obedient." So she's starting to try to walk out, and I grab one of the mics that's like freestanding, and he getting up there all cocky. Mind you, when the church first started, they all shook, and he walking out arrogant, super like this. Yeah, he a short dude too, so you know how they act. So he over here just like, it was so disgusting, y'all. It was so disgusting. But he can't, like, he got up on there, and then he looked at me as I'm grabbing the mic like this. Just like that. Just like that. And then when I grabbed the mic, I was tired of this man trying to silence me the last few weeks after I had spoke. That was his whole agenda, to smear my name and silence me. And I had enough. So, and I had enough of them trying to silence my family as well, because that's what they were trying to do for a long time. So I took the mic, and I'm like, "No, she gonna get to say what she gotta say, because if my father told her to do it, she's going to do it." So I grabbed the mic, and I'm walking towards my mom, and she's like walking out the door. And he says, "Grab that mic." He's like, "Grab the mic and don't let her speak." When he said don't let her speak, I already knew that was the enemy. I was like, that's straight from the pits of hell. Don't let her speak. How convenient. So I'm walking towards the door. They could have let me tell y'all, they could have let me go with the mic. They could have turned the mic off. Like, there were so many other options for them and that mic. His sister comes and stands out in the middle of the aisleway, and she pushes me like by my neck. Like, she goes towards my neck to push me. And I'm like, "Did you just put your hands on me?" I was like, did not, I was like, "Did you just touch, like, did you just put your hands on me?" So she goes to swing. I go to block her hand. Next thing I know, somebody's pulling my hair from behind, and I just feel like a whole bunch of people just come over, and then they jumping on me. They jumping on me. I'm not hitting the floor. Mind you, I'm like 6'1". 10 people jumping me, and I didn't hit the floor. Them was some weak demons that was inside of them. Cause, like, are you for real? And then, like, as I'm hunched over, I know that I'm being jumped by them, but I don't feel them hitting me. And I'm screaming, crying out to Jesus, calling out to Jesus, like, "Jesus, I need you, Jesus, I need you." And then eventually they pull all of them off of me, and I get into the doorway, and I'm crying because I'm like, "Why did y'all just jump me?" I was so shocked, y'all, that these people jumped me. I was shocked. I was flabbergasted, because I'm like, I did not just get jumped by these people. I'm like, I would have never came into this church to fight y'all. Why did y'all jump me? Like, I'm just constantly asking that question. And they looking like demons coming towards me, like K-pop demon hunters. Y'all know when they was like in the final scene where all the demons was running towards them? That's exactly what it looks like. Like, they were at me like that, calling me B words, calling me H words, demons, witches, all kinds of things. They were calling me all kinds of stuff. And then I'm standing in the door, and then all of a sudden somebody throws a shoe, hits me right in the head. So now I have this huge contusion, and I'm telling, like, my brother, he like freaking, I've never seen him this angry. My dad, he's trying to keep me back, and along with the other dudes. And then I, like, realistically, I could have gotten through all of them and did some severe damage. But each time that I wanted to, it was as if the Spirit of God was stopping me, like stopping me, y'all. There was a time where I came, like I saw his sister in like the glass that was by the door, and I told her like, come outside. Like basically, like my flesh took over for a split second, and I said, come outside. Come outside. And then it was like the Spirit was like, no. And I was like, oh my God. It was, the back door was open. I was like, I'm about to go through the back door. God, the Spirit of God's like, no. I'm like, all right. They did that to me. It was so many cars. I was like, I'm about to bust every window in this car. Like, I was about to break. I wanted to break the glass. The Spirit of God over me, y'all, was stopping me from doing everything that I wanted to do. I wanted to get my lick back, but I was so distraught, and the Spirit of God was so strong over me that I could not do what my flesh wanted me to do. I couldn't get my leg back. I couldn't do nothing. All I could do was cry because I could not believe it. So my mom's on Facebook Live going off, calling the family up. The family's all on the way. My phone is going off. I'm not answering the phone. I'm telling them to get my stuff out the church. I say, get my Bible. That's all I kept saying. I was like, get my Bible, get my Bible, get my phone. But any situation, I'm like, I want my Bible. Like, I don't want nothing else. I want my Bible. I get in the car with my mom, and she's on Facebook Live. And I'm sitting there telling her like what just happened to me, and she started laughing, and she like, yeah, just start laughing, baby. God said, hey, God said start laughing. I'm like, God would never tell me to start laughing in a situation like this. Like, I am in distress. My Father would comfort me. Like, what are you talking about laughing? Like that had pissed me off. And then like we went to the police station, I went to the hospital, all this. Like, I'm just completely just blown away by what had just happened to me. All my family pulling up to the church to fight these people. Like, I go home after leaving the hospital, all my family is at the house. All of my family, y'all. Like, my dad's whole side of the family was there. It was absolutely insane. And the craziest thing about it is that Friday before I went to speak, God had spoke to me at work, and he said, this will be the last Sunday that your family will be at that church. So I had called a meeting that Saturday, and I was like, God, like, mama has to do whatever God told her to do. And I said, yesterday God spoke to me. He told me, I told my dad, like, it's time for you to speak up. Like, that is what God had been telling me for a minute. He said, it is time for him to speak up. My dad still ain't do it. He still didn't do it. So I'm telling him that, and I was like, he said that it's going to be the last Sunday that I'm at that church. I said that I'm at that church because I just didn't want to make the decision for them, but I knew that it was going to be our last Sunday. And sure enough, it was our last Sunday at that church. After everything had went down, I went to the police station and everything, got that taken care of. I just could not believe it. However, I was slowly but surely starting to move on and move past it. And the thing that happened through the midst of it all was that my family was delivered up out of that church that was not going to do them any good. So that's where it's like I can see the silver lining, and I can see where God was, where like God's presence in all of that, even though it was chaotic. So God had gave me a vision that night of his hand over the church and then his hand being taken off of it. Like, I saw that with my eyes. And it was just like, wow. Like, after, like, I went to sleep that night and I slept pretty good. The next morning I woke up. I had prayed real hard. I cried to God and everything, spent my time in the secret place, read my scripture. The next morning I woke up. I didn't really feel the weight of it. I didn't feel it. I didn't. To be honest, I was ready to move on. I was ready to move past it. I was like, all right, it's a new day. Basically, like, it's a new day and time to keep it pushing, basically. But my family was hurt about it, which is valid, because it's like, how could y'all do this when we've been there the whole time? We were the first members at that church. My dad was fixing so much stuff around that church. My family was hosting things for the church, like before y'all decided to start acting weird towards them. Like it was just a lot, and I understood why they were feeling the way that they felt. And plus, that's something that had never happened to me. I told y'all I was a quiet kid. Like that was something that had never happened to me. So few days go by, they still on it. I'm like, okay, like that's valid. Like they gotta process this, and that's okay. But I'm like moving on. Like to be honest, I was moving on so quickly. I was just like, it was like I was with Jesus, so it was like whatever happened, it happened, and I'm not about to allow myself to be stuck in the past or be stuck on this thing that happened to me. God's gonna take care of it. I'm not gonna wait and I'm not gonna sit around and sulk and until God takes care of it. I'm going to keep doing what God needs me to do. My whole time in Detroit, I was on assignment, y'all. I thought I thought that was the assignment. I thought the whole point was for me to deliver my family up out of the church so that we can finally be free from the bondage of that place and the demonic influence of that place so that we could finally get on one accord and like move towards like wherever God is taking us. We we as children of God have got to learn God's ways are not our ways, and we will never understand why he does things. So time's going on, and my mom, she's just constantly talking about it. And she's getting to a point where she's just, I'm so hurt and like this is just too much. We need counseling, we need therapy, like we need all these things. And I'm like, I don't know if that's what y'all need, but I don't need that. Like I'm fine. Like I truly am fine. Like I'm not like she wanted me to sue. And I had the intentions of suing, but then I had spoke with God and he told me no. He said, wait. And I was like, all right, like I'm not gonna do it. And I told my mama that, and she was like, well, God ain't tell me that. And I'm like, okay, well, God told me that, and I'm going to listen to God over you any day. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So a week goes by, she's still on it. We need therapy. Like, there's just if this is not right. Like, our family is just completely distraught and traumatized. I'm like, speak like in my mind I'm like you got to speak for yourself because I'm not traumatized from that. Like I'm fine. Like I truly am fine. Like I'm moving with peace and like nobody's understanding how I'm like just moving. And I'm like like I just have God. Like I have Jesus. I don't need to allow this situation to have this stronghold over me. Like no. I was moving on. I was moving on. So um more weeks go by. Mom's still on it. Still on it. Still like this the most she done ever talked on the phone. The most. Like I just couldn't believe it. So eventually it dies out. It fades out and I'm like, okay, good. Cause I was calling out to God, like, Lord, you gotta stop them from talking about this because truthfully I don't want to hear about it no more. I don't. So as that started to fade out, it was like problems started to arise, like out of nowhere. And it wasn't even my problems, it was my parents' problems, but they were like pulling us into it. And it was just weird. And like, mom's walking around, I'm so tired of doing everything and this and that and all this stuff. And I'm just like, have y'all surrendered? Like, y'all need to just surrender this to God. Like, if you talk to God about it, I talk to my father every single day. And like, I'm just hearing her say these things, but high key, part of me is starting to feel like this is a facade. I just started to feel it. I just started to feel like something is not right and this is a facade. I remember there was event like things coming up, like they had their thing going on and like their problems were bleeding onto us. So as they were going through whatever they were like the stuff that they were going through, I was learning in those moments because I'm seeing how she's acting and I'm seeing how my dad is acting. And as I'm seeing this, I'm recognizing the familiarity of it and I'm like, this is exactly what my relationship was looking like. This is where my relationship was headed had I not taken a break from it like God had told me to. Like it was such an eye opener. I was starting to see parts of me that God had healed me from. I was seeing them in her. I was seeing parts of like things that she was struggling with. I used to struggle with. And I was seeing like the connection was being made and I'm seeing it in 4K and I'm like, wow. And I would tell my brother like, yeah, like when she was doing that, like that reminded me of like when I was in my relationship and that's how I was trying to handle things and stuff like that and it just wasn't working. And then like how my dad was acting was exactly how my partner was acting too. And I was seeing in 4K that she was making her problems his problems and vice versa, all while avoiding the major problem that they both had. Like it was so crazy and eye opening, and it was a revelation in itself. And I remember it had got to a point where they were going through whatever they were going through, and I was witnessing this, and I was like, Lord, no, absolutely not, because I had gotten to a point where I was true, like I know what God showed me about my ex partner. I know what he showed me about him. So I know that it's going to come true. So I'm getting excited because I'm like, oh my God, like I know what God's going to do. I had gotten to a point where I was starting to idolize marriage, like later, like towards like the end of it. And I had recognized it quickly. Like I wasn't like at first I was telling my family like, yeah, I'm about to get married. Like I'm about to get married. Like I know I'm about to get married and stuff like that. But towards the end, like right when they started having their problems, I was recognizing that the enemy was trying to get me to idolize it. And I was like, Lord, nope, nope, nope. And that was when their problems started happening. And that was when it was like, nope, nope, nope. If I was like, there's no way that like I could go back to being in a relationship like that seeing this, you know, seeing that. And like that was the whole reason why I didn't want to get married. Like seeing them was like I don't want to get married. I don't want to get married like because no. Mm-mm. But it was God who actually made me want to get married. Like it was falling in love with Jesus that made me want to get married. So after that happened, I had took a 2 week trip to Vegas and I had gotten so much clarity. I was seeing my ex partner and I was staying with him and like God had gave me clarity that day, like that time because one thing that I knew that I needed, I was like, if I need him to at least want to know God. And I was like, I need him to be able to see me. I don't care about perfection or anything like that, but I want somebody who's godly, you know, and has that desire in their heart for God. And like as I'm there, I knew I wasn't going to see that change. Like I knew that. But I also wanted clarity. And I had got it and it was like, dang. So I had to officially like break up with him and it was so sad, but I had to do it and I was seen by somebody for the first time, like for who I truly was, like the woman of God that I am. And this is just a friend. So it's nothing like that. But it was like I was seen. And I was like, Lord, if like my husband is going to have to see me. And like when I came to that conclusion, like everything fell into place for me and I had ended it and I came back from Vegas and I told my mom, I was like, yeah, so I officially broke up with him. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I officially broke up with him because like there was just not the connection just was not there. And I had gotten clarity and I was like, I'm actually at peace with it because I was. And she was just like, girl, that's your husband. That's your husband and all this stuff. And I'm just like, Well, I don't know that, but I know as of right now, like it's not, and like it's over. Like it's over. So let's turn this light on. So after that, it was just like, and then around the same time, my brother had also was going through a breakup. So all this, like these two things are going on. Two things that are very emotionally like devastating for people. Even though we were fine, it was still like that pattern of, well, anyways, I got my stuff going on, so I don't really care about what y'all going on. That's just what it felt like, because it was no empathy for like, oh, like I'm so sorry that this happened. Like it was just nothing. And then when my brother and his girl broke up, like my mom told me before he told me, and she was like telling me all these things, and I'm just like, why are you telling me this when he should be the one telling me this? And I had told my brother, and he was not okay with that because like that's not cool. Like it's not cool. So some time went on, and then like they were still having their problems, and then my mom, she just started being really weird, and I started to feel it, and I was trying my best to ignore it. Mind you, not too long ago before all of this, God had warned me, and he had said, um my mother and my sister had envy towards me, and I didn't want to believe it because I was like, nah, that ain't true. And then I'm like, the devil is a lie, because I'm like, Satan always tries to do stuff like that to cause division. And one thing I'm not about is division. I'm like, I'm not dividing up nothing. Like the devil is a lie. The whole time it was just God warning me and telling me what was going to happen before it was about to happen. So time go on, and I'm just starting to feel like this certain like energy from my mom. Like she started, when I say like when her and my dad was having their problems, like I would say stuff, like my brother would say something and my sister would say something, and it would be the exact same thing, and then I would say it too, but she would make like I was like causing the most problems out of it, like I was attacking her, and I'm like what? I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying the same thing that they said. Then she'd be like, well, you're always screaming and hollering. And I'm like, but mind you, she's the one who's screaming and hollering. I would always come to her calm, and then she would raise her voice, which would cause me to raise my voice. And I've already had talks with her about how things she's done has affected me, how her hollering made me feel unheard and stuff like that, and why, and like I had already broken all this stuff down to her. I talked about her to her about these things 3 times, y'all. 3 times. Every time she had like some issue with me, she would always bring up me moving to Vegas and not talking to them and didn't care about them. And I'm like, we've already talked about that. Like I've already told you why that was like that. So why are you bringing it up again? It's as if she was trying to make me feel some kind of guilt for it that I wasn't going to feel, because I'd already come to peace with that. I've already talked to you about that. So what is the point of me needing to feel guilty for it? Like there is none. You just can't accept the fact that it happened. Like I don't know. It was just like, you just can't forgive me for that. Like I don't know. So it was just more and more stuff, and I just started to just feel like I needed to move. Like I just felt it in my spirit. I was like I was losing sleep. Like I wasn't getting good sleep. I was starting to walk on eggshells. Mind you, I was getting up every day. I didn't work in the summertime because I worked for the school district. I was getting up every day, cleaning up her house, making sure I did what I needed to do because I didn't want to hear her mouth. And she started to act crazy again with the cleaning up and like screaming and hollering and telling everybody like what to do and how to do it and all this stuff. And it was just like she was talking to us foul. And I'm 32. I'm not a child. So it's like, you're not going to talk to me like I'm a child. You're not going to talk to me disrespectfully and then expect me to just follow suit and do what you tell me to do. Like, no, because first of all, she never needed to tell us to do anything. We were already doing it. But she wanted to do extra stuff. Like we would clean up and then she'd start pulling stuff out and then be like, it ain't clean. They didn't clean up and stuff like that. My dad, he was like literally no help. It was as if I was going backwards, reliving my childhood again. Like it was all happening again. And I'm just like not understanding it. And I just heard God say, it's time for you to go. And I'm like, Lord, I don't have my car. My car was still in the shop because I didn't have my job to pay for it to get out. So I'm like, what am I gonna do? My dog had puppies, and she had puppies while I was in Vegas. So the puppies aren't even old enough to go anywhere. And I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like, like Lord, I need you to make a way. I need you to make a way. So things were just starting to get progressively worse. And like there would be times where I would talk to my mom. The whole time I was there, I was planting seeds from God to her about unforgiveness, about letting stuff go, about moving on, about pride. I was like leaving these seeds planted to her about this stuff, and she wasn't listening. Like the whole time she wasn't listening about it. I remember there was a time that I sat in the kitchen and I was talking to her, and I was like, yeah, like people got to be careful with pride, because too much pride will give you God will cause God to give you over to a reprobate mind. And like I was breaking down what a reprobate mind was and stuff like that, and talking about King Saul and Nebuchadnezzar. And like I'm thinking she hear, like she listening, but she's not. She wasn't listening at all. So it was just so much that started to happen. Like there was holidays happening, and she decided she wanted to throw a party that she should have never even been throwing. Then she's expecting everybody to set up the party, cook the food for the party, do everything for the party, while she's just like screaming and hollering, telling everybody what to do. But in the kitchen, like cleaning, constantly like wiping stuff down, and I ain't gonna never get to my food. And it's like you're delaying yourself. Like everybody's doing what they're doing. And then it's like she wanted us to do that all day. So then like by the end of the night we couldn't just chill. Like it was like we had to chill like after everything was done. And it was just like this is a repetition of the past. And I remember after the 4th of July we had that party, and then the next day we all talking about like how cool it was and stuff like that. And the house was still a little messed up, but it wasn't as messed up. And she just started tripping. Like, yeah, y'all need to clean up. And we like my brother had got up early, my sister had got up early. They was cleaning up the outside. My brother had cleaned everything up and everything like that. And I had got up and started doing the stuff in the kitchen because I'm like, I don't want to hear her mouth. So we did all that. That wasn't good enough. It was like nothing we were doing was good enough for her. And we telling our dad, and he like, nothing's good enough for her. And I'm like, dude, that is not okay. Like, that's not okay to make people feel like that. Like, nothing you do is good enough for me. So I'm going to keep complaining about it and keep talking about it and keep this. And she was just so on edge about everything. And what I was recognizing was that she was spiraling. Like, something was severely wrong. And my dad, who's an elder, was not praying with her, was not pulling her over to like read scripture with her. It just was not happening. And I remember it got to a point where I had told my mom, I was like, yeah, y'all don't have a godly marriage. Y'all have a worldly marriage. Like, because a godly marriage don't operate like this. Like, I'm sorry to tell you, like, it don't. And I'm like, what I want is a godly marriage. And like, we were talking about that and stuff like that. And like, she would say stuff, my dad would say stuff. But when she finds out somebody says something about her, oh, it's the end of the world. Oh, so they just talking about me like that and saying this stuff about me. And it's like, no, people can vent. People can express how they feel. Because when it's brought to you, it's not acknowledged. It doesn't matter when it comes to you. So it was just getting worse and worse. And I'm like, Lord, get me out of this house. I'm like, get me out of this house. I could feel the negativity and the toxicity trying to latch onto me. So I'm like in prayer every single night, like, Lord, I don't know what you're going to do or how you're going to do it, but I know you're going to do it, and we got to go. We got to go. So it had got to a point where I make videos or TikToks and I explain the Bible. I talk about revelations that God gave me and stuff like that. It had got to a point because she used to watch my videos all the time, like all night, reading the comments and everything. Like, yeah, you helping a lot of people. I can see them. I see them on there, like telling you like how you helping them and all this stuff. And then it was like, at first I was like, yeah, like that's cool, but like I don't do it for that. So it wasn't really like a thing where I was like, yeah, see me. Like, no, it wasn't. So I noticed that she was doing that. But then, like, it got to a point where she was like watching my videos, and she started to like analyze them a lot. And there was a time she came to me and was like, "Yeah, when you make your videos, make sure you not showing everybody what's going on around my house." And I'm like, what? Like, when I'm filming videos, I don't pay attention to that. And I'm like, I'm sure people who watching it ain't really paying attention to that. And it was like, are you even hearing the message? Like, that's all I was thinking in my head. And then she did it again. Like, when you making your videos, can you not put my address in there? It was just like nitpicky things. And I'm like, Lord, I gotta go. Like, something ain't right. That's when I started to feel like something wasn't right. I was like, something is not right. And I can't put my finger on it, but I know that something is not right. So she said that, and I'm just like, ugh, like, okay, like, whatever. Like, not even like giving her the time of day. And then it was just like, it was like something after something. It was like times where, like, she was supposed to go to like these fights or whatever, and she asked my brother, me and my brother, like, which one of y'all want to go with y'all dad? Because I don't feel like going. Mind you, this is after like all their arguments and her saying stuff like him not doing stuff for her and things like that. And he ain't got those tickets. And when she said that, I was like, "You're not gonna go?" I was like, "He got those because you like her." And she like, "No, I just don't feel like going." And I was like, "That's so ungrateful." And then she was like, "So I'm ungrateful. I'm ungrateful." So that caused a whole big thing. And I'm like, "Yeah, that's ungrateful because like somebody spending all that money on some tickets, like." If that was me and I was in that position, mind you, I'm talking to her just like this. I'm like, if I was in that position and somebody had spent like I had spent all that money on tickets or somebody else had did that for me, that would piss me off that somebody decide, oh yeah, like on the day of that they don't want to go somewhere. Like that would really make me mad. And then my dad out there like moping, not standing up for himself. And I'm like, this is retarded. Like this is ridiculous. And I'm sorry for saying the R word, like these days. But yeah, I'm just like, why? Like I just didn't understand. And we asking her like why, and she just like, so I can do, and she just start freaking out. And then like we talking to her and telling her like we just trying to understand why you're not going to the fight. Like you need to get out of the house. You've been in the house all this time, and I definitely blame a lot of it on her being in the house all the time because she has always been in the house, barely out of the house. When anybody would go crazy being in the house all the time. So it's like that's why I say I don't hold anything that's happened against her personally. It's against the spirits that's operating within her. And it's up to her to finally surrender that over to God. And because she's not surrendering it over to God, it's getting worse and worse and worse. But yeah, that happened. And then here goes another thing where we all saying the same thing, but she's pointing the finger at me and acting like I'm attacking her and acting like I'm doing this and this and that and this and that. And then she just started getting real weird. And she was like, I know. I'm like, and the more she was talking, the more it sounded like she was guilty of something. And I didn't know what it was. So I'm like, it sounds like you got some guilt or whatever going on because you keep trying to blame me for these things and keep trying to accuse me of these things that I'm not doing. And it sounds like you might be guilty about something. And I don't know what it's like. I ain't guilty about nothing. I ain't guilty. I'm like, it sounds like you are. And then she had got me to the point where I was getting upset and I had raised my voice again. She's like, so y'all can just disrespect me in my house and this and that. You can get out of my house and get out of my house and you're the problem. Ever since you came, there's problems in my marriage. There's problems in my house and there's problems with me and all this stuff. And I'm like, how are you blaming me for all the things that's happening in your life? I'm like, I'm not the one who's causing these problems. The presence of me is what's shining a light on them because Jesus Christ lives within me. That is what it is. And I had said that. And she's like, you just keep on doing things. You keep on attacking me and keep on. And I'm like, this lady is crazy. And then she said, I know what your problem is. I was like, what is your issue with me? I just kept asking, like, what is your issue with me? Because it's not like you got some deep-rooted issue with me that I just don't understand why you just can't say it. She's like, no, you got an issue with me. I'm like, no, I don't, because I've already talked to you about these things. It was so childish, y'all. It was so childish. Because I'm like, I've already talked to you about my issues with you. I have no issues with you. I have no reason to be upset with you. But what is your issue with me? She couldn't get out. So she goes and makes up this whole big ridiculous thing. She said, I know what your issue is because God showed me. And I was like, what'd he show you? Because I'm already ready to hear some absolute crap. She says, you jealous of your siblings and you feel like me and your dad owe you something. And I was like, what? Like, what? I was like, you that, because God ain't tell you that. I was like, God did not tell you that. I was like, that is a lie straight from the pits of hell. Like the devil just over here playing in your mind, telling you lies like that, because that is not true. Then she started throwing the church stuff back in my face. Then she started throwing what happened in Vegas back in my face. I never told my mama everything because I didn't trust her. Because I knew that any opportunity that she had, she would use it as ammunition against me whenever situations like this would happen. So the bare minimum that she knew, she tried to throw in my face, and I'm like, no, like you're making an assumption. You're making an assumption. And that was like 99% of everything that she was talking about were assumptions. And I'm like, why would I be jealous of my siblings? I was like, I was an angry child. Like, I didn't like, I'm like, your kids annoyed me, but I never was jealous of my siblings. And to thinking y'all owe me something, owe me what? I could barely rely on y'all. Like, what are you talking about? Owe me something? Like, that actually threw me for a loop. And I was like, the devil surely knows how to manipulate somebody, man. It was crazy. So after that, I had went to the park and I had to repent because I'm like, Lord, I'm sorry if I was disrespectful and things like that. And I was talking to my sister and she was like talking to me about it. And I had went on a walk by myself. And it was in that walk where God told me, you don't have to help anymore. You don't have to say anything anymore. Just stay silent. And I was like, all right. That's the only time I will be silent, when God tells me to. And sure enough, I was. So as time's going on, I'm not talking to her about the Bible no more. I'm not talking to her about revelations I've received from God anymore. And I would have dreams, like God would give me dreams, and even like with the church, He was giving me symbols in my dream about that happening. I just couldn't understand it. Like there was dreams of me like pulling hair out of my hair, like into my hand, like the enemy holding a gun up against me, but not whenever he would shoot, it wouldn't like the bullet wouldn't come out, or like I was never afraid of the enemy like coming after me and stuff like that. And when this stuff was happening with my mom, I was getting dreams again. And in those dreams, there was a dream I had when I was in Vegas, and in the dream, she was screaming at everybody, telling them to clean up, and she was chasing everybody with a chainsaw. And as she was chasing everybody with a chainsaw, like I wasn't running from her or anything, but as she was coming like my way, I had slid into a closet and like the door had closed and I was hiding in a closet. And I would have a lot of dreams of me being hidden and like of me hiding. And there was this one dream that I had where I was being hidden. And as I was being hidden, she had went with my grandma who had passed away, my dad's mom, and his little sister was there too. And as I'm in the closet, there's a toilet in there. And after I flushed the toilet, I come out of the closet. And then like I was asking God, like, what did all of this mean? And it meant that He was hiding me. Like the whole time God was hiding who I was. And then there was gonna come a time where He was going to finally release me. And after that, things just kept getting progressively worse. And then she wanted to deep clean the whole house, wipe the walls down, the baseboards. I was like, I was like, that's not happening. Like, I'm not about, like, no. Like, I understand the frustration with, like, my dog's hair being on the floors. Like, I get that frustration. But it's the fact that she was never communicating her issues with me. She was just keeping them inside and waited for the moment for her to lash out to try to throw all that stuff at me. So I know for sure like one of the issues was like my dog's hair, which is, I understand that, but it's not like I was just chilling, like not trying to get it up myself. I was always trying to get that dog hair up because I didn't want to hear her. But her lie is I was just being nonchalant about it and just chilling, like acting like the dog hair wasn't there. It was a lie. And it's just like all these things were happening, and I'm over here begging God, like, Lord, I need you to make something happen, make something shake. Because, yeah. So I had a job that I was going to go to in the fall. But I knew that I had to leave Michigan, and I knew it because God had told me that day that she had did all that it was time for me to go. And I was like, all right, Lord, I need to know where to go. God had put in plain sight, Colorado. So I was like, all right, I gotta go to Colorado. So I started looking for jobs, started applying for jobs. By the grace of God, I was getting hit up a lot by job, like people wanting to interview me. And then I finally um, got the job with the company that I'm with right now. And so that was lined up. Everything went well for that. Then I was like, all right, I got to get an apartment because I need to be set up for when I go there because I got these dogs and stuff like that. Trying to follow my own plans. Silly me. So that happens. I get the job, and then I finally tell my mom, like, yeah, I'm going to Colorado because at this point she's like, yeah, I gotta get out this house. Like I gotta get out this house. I'm tired of being in this house. It's time for me to go away and just be by myself and stuff like that. And I was in agreement. I was like, yeah, you do. Like you actually do need to be by yourself and like get out this house because you've been in this house for so long. Like I would not be okay if I was in a house trapped all these years. Like I just wouldn't. So was trying to encourage her, and she had said, like, I don't doubt that my mom hears from God, but I do question what she hears because some things she say that she heard from God and I know that it ain't God, and then there are some things that she says she did hear from God that makes sense. Like one time I was in her room and I'm talking about like me having to move and it being time for me to go and stuff, and she confirmed something that God had already told me about me doing what I needed to do in Michigan, and now it was time for me to go into my land of promise, the promised land and stuff like that. She had confirmed that. So I was like, yeah, God had already told me that and stuff like that. Then she keeps talking about like, yeah, I just want to get my life right with God, and I'm on my walk and stuff like that. And I'm very graceful with stuff like that because I'm like, I do understand that everybody's on their own path. And God knows when somebody's going to get saved. However, I have an issue when you're constantly saying God this, God that, and all this stuff, and you're not showing any sign of repentance and change. You're not trying to change your behavior. You're constantly submitting to it. So that was an issue that I was having. And the more it was happening, it's like God was constantly just highlighting it to me. And the more it was getting highlighted, it's like like the mask that she wore just started to just slip more and more and more. And I just started to feel very much like she was playing in God's face, and I didn't like it. I just was like, something ain't right. I'm like, something's not right, Lord. Like, I don't know what it is, but something ain't right. And it was just the constant, I love God so much, and I'm talking to God and stuff like that. But then it's like you're doing all this hateful, evil stuff. You're doing this like this mean stuff. You're talking about people. You're gossiping about people any chance you get. I would tell her, because her and my sister would get on the phone, and they would just get to gossiping. And I would tell her, like, I don't know. I was like, I know y'all love each other and like stuff like that, but you saying that you're on this journey with God and you want to be right with God. So I'm like, you got to start telling her, like, yeah, like when y'all start to gossiping, you got to start running away from that because that's sin. And like gossip is like witchcraft. And like I would tell her these things, but she wouldn't do it. And I even told my sister, like, stop calling her with drama because she really trying to get her life right with God. And every time you call with the drama, you kind of bring her back to that place of like talking about people and stuff like that. And she's like, I don't really talk to mama like that. So they both just lying. And then there was times when my mom would lie about stuff, and then I would catch her in a lie. And I wouldn't really say anything, but it was just like a mental note, like, okay, like that was a lie. And then it's like the way she would fabricate things, like my mom can tell you things. She can tell you a story and make it sound so convincing. Like, I kid you not. I kid you not. And that started to be more apparent to me. And that's what was bothering me because I'm like, I know that this is not the truth. Like, I know. It's like the more I was sitting there, the more God was revealing. And it was just so hard for me to accept because it was like my mother. So I'm like, there's no way. Like, there's no way. Like, this is crazy. And then it got to one point where one night I was just like, where she talking about cleaning the baseboards and wall, and I had to go outside and just be like I just couldn't understand it. I was like, something ain't right. And this is after she had got baptized for the third time. And I'm like, something just ain't right. Even when she would sing, and I used to love when my mom was sing. I don't know if that just stopped, but yeah, I would love when my mom sung. And it was just like, something's not right. Like, something's not right here. Like, it just didn't sound, even her prayers, I was like, it feels performative. Like, something isn't right. And it was that same feeling that I was feeling when I was in Vegas. And it was the same feeling that I was feeling in that church. And every single time I feel that feeling, God is about to reveal something. God is about to remove the veil. And that he did. That he did. He removed the veil. And yeah, I couldn't I couldn't see it the way it was anymore. I couldn't see it the way it was anymore. It was it was when I had, because I would go to the church, like my old family church, on Thursdays and help them, like, with food, like doing food boxes because they had a food pantry. I would help them. And one day I was like trying to figure out what God wanted me to do, and it was about moving. And the pastor, he had talked to me, and he had basically, God was speaking to me through him, and I was like, okay, I know what I need to do. And I had told my mom, I was like, yeah, Pastor, like, he had talked to me and he had told me like all this stuff, and like it was just basically like confirming what God had already said to me and what I needed, like, what I need to do. So I was like, yeah. And I was like, I'm gonna finally start my ministry. Like, I guess I'm gonna finally start my ministry because, like, this is something that, yeah, like, he confirmed. So I had did that and stuff like that, and I had made the page and everything. My mom never liked the page, never shared the page, and I was just like, okay, that's weird. Like, but okay, I'm just gonna ignore it because it's not like she wasn't on Facebook or anything like that. She always was. So after that, yeah, it was just getting a little too weird for me. My puppies were finally becoming the age, and I had had the whole plan. Like I said, I was going to start the job in the fall, work there for 2 weeks because I didn't want to just leave on a bad note and so suddenly. So I was like, I'm gonna leave 2 weeks. I'm gonna go to work, start for work with them for 2 weeks, and then after that 2 weeks, I'm gonna go to Colorado, which was supposed to be around like September 8th, and I was gonna sell the puppies. I was like, all right, I'm gonna give them money because like their dog got my dog pregnant. That was all in the plan. It was all in the plan to do so. And I was like, I'll just use the money that I get from working and then use that for like moving stuff and stuff like that. Yeah, that didn't work out the way that I thought it was going to work out. So I was having a hard time selling the puppies at first. So I started putting them on the porch in a cage with a sign up, and I put a sign on a tree and stuff like that. I was posting them on every Facebook. I was posting them on Hoobly and everything. And they're Saint Bernard, so a lot of people don't want giant dogs. So it was a little rough in the beginning, but when I had started praying to God, I was like, Lord, I don't know what you got to do, but I need you to do it. Like, I need you to start sending me people for these dogs. And he did it like that. Like, them dogs was gone in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, suddenly. So within that time, my mom was still being weird. Like, it was just, I just knew something was off. And I'm not really paying much attention to it anymore. So I'm doing me. And my family reunion comes up. And when the family reunion comes up, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll go, maybe not, and stuff like that. And the whole time, her and my sister talking about, yeah, dude, we not going to that family reunion and stuff like that. And I'm not understanding what their beef is because just a few months ago, everybody was cool, and then randomly they all have beef for some odd reason, and I'm not really into that. So I'm like, even like like when I asked them, it was just never a clear answer. And I had sold some I was selling dessert cups because I was really trying to make money, and she gave me the idea. Like, that's why I say, like, there's things that I love about my mom, but like there's a lot of major things that she has done and that she continues to do that keeps me at a point where I have to keep my distance from her, and I can't really mess with her until she actually get her life right with God, because that will taint. Like, I can't afford somebody bringing me back to a place that God delivered me out of. Like, it's non-negotiable. But yeah, and then like my family came and they supported me selling the dessert cups, and I was super appreciative for it and stuff like that. So of course my mom, she acting weird about that too. So I decide to go to the family reunion. And I was like, all right. And I told my brother like what time it started because he had the car. My car was still in the shop. And I'm like, well, if you want to go, just let me know, and then like we'll go. And at first, it was like we wasn't gonna go, and I was fine either way, because he was doing his breaks. And then he had finally finished his break, and he was like, yeah, I'm about ready to go. And I was like, oh, we still going? He's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, bet. So what the first night that we went, it was called movie night, and my mom knew this. She knew this, but she tried to act like she don't know stuff that she actually do to make her claim sound valid. So she asked, like, where am I going? And I was like, oh, we going to movie night. And my little sister was coming too. So, and this is how I know that she knew exactly what I was talking about, because she asked my brother again. And it's like, if I already told you where we're going, why? She wanted to hear the name. She wanted to hear the name. I wasn't doing that because I didn't feel like dealing with her drama, to be honest, her imaginary drama that she has with people. So he told her, and then, like, I guess he told me when we got in the car, I was like, you told her? He was like, yeah. I was like, that's crazy. And he was like, yeah. And like, we get to the house, and it's like actually a really good time. Like, they all asking about her. I'm getting to talk to my cousins, catch up with them, see what's been going on with them and stuff like that. Mind you, these are people that I never wanted to be around. Like, I never wanted to be around them. And now I'm in a space where I'm like, okay, I feel okay being around them. Like, it's not a big deal being around them. And plus, I don't know my cousins like that. And like, I feel like in order to break a generational curse, you have to step out of the family norm of keeping cycles that are toxic going. And that's exactly what I was doing. It was healing for me, it was refreshing for me, and I felt really good about it. Well, as I'm doing that, my mom's at the house going off. She called my sister, and my sister telling her, like, girl, like, when are you going to let this go? Like, basically, like, you need to learn how to forgive, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to forgive either way if you want to really live right with God. And she trying to justify all these things, and she bringing up stuff that happened way back in 1999, and like all this stuff that don't even matter anymore, that we thought was she was over with. But apparently, no, she's not. I'll tell y'all exactly the space that she's in now after I finish all this. But yeah, so that sparked something in her. So by the time we get home, I walk in the house, and she like, yeah, all y'all can get out of my house. Y'all want to betray me. Y'all over here betraying me. This is the ultimate betrayal. You going to turn your back on your mama. Ain't nobody standing 10 toes down for me. And they done did all this stuff to me. And you going to go over there and chill with them. They fake. And they don't like y'all. And all this stuff. And they don't like me. And I'm like, is this for real? I'm like, so what is like, I'm just like, what is the issue? But I'm not paying her no mind, y'all. It's like, I just didn't have the energy to go back and forth with her. And she's on the phone talking with my aunt the whole time, telling her all kinds of lies about me. She started talking about me, calling me, like, saying that I'm this evil spirit in her house and reminding her of my brother and stuff like that. And she's saying, like, ever since I've been there, all this stuff been happening, and I've been fake the whole time, and the whole thing was to turn her kids against her, and turn her and I was trying to run her house. Like, she was making up all this stuff. Mind you, this is the same aunt she was telling, yeah, ever since she been back, she been helping me with the Bible and all this stuff. It was just like the push pull, like, I could not handle. Like, I could not do it. And like, hearing how she was talking about me on the phone was enough for me to be like, yeah, I'm packing my stuff up and it's time for me to go. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with these puppies, but yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go. I was like, Laura, I need you to send me somebody like soon so I can get my car out of the shop so I can get ready to go. And he did it real quick. But yeah, all that was happening, and I'm just sitting there. We all sitting there. She talking about we all can get out her house. Everybody can get out. She don't want nobody in her house since they want to be fake and betray her and go against her, and I stand 10 toes down for her and be loyal to her. One thing about me, two things for certain. I'm not being loyal to anybody who's living in sin and actively participating in sin. If it goes against what the word of God says, if it is not moving in peace, love, and forgiveness, I'm not participating. I don't care if that makes me look disloyal. I don't care if that makes me look like I'm betraying you. I don't care. I am on a journey to life, not death. Following that path will lead me straight to death, and that's just not where I'm trying to go. Like it's not. I was called to be the one to break the chains. I was called to be the one to break the generational curse, and I am doing that. So if it hurts somebody, I don't care. I really don't care, because as long as I'm in alignment with God, that is all that matters to me. That's all that matters to me. Like, I'm sorry. So the next morning, I wake up. My Facebook page is down. It's gone, disabled. And I'm trying to figure out what the heck is going on. I go onto my Facebook and I try to figure out what's going on. They restore my page and they show me that my ministry page was reported. How convenient after the night that just happened. How convenient. So the first thing I think of, she did this. My mom did this. Like, I'm not stupid. I was like, my mom did this. And I had to slow myself down and say, Lord, who did this? The thought of my mom doing it did not leave. So I text my sibling group and I'm like, yeah, I think she reported my ministry page because it's gone. My sister come in, the same one that she was on the phone with that night talking all this stuff and like, feeding her all the lies, feeding her into her web. She talking about, you sound goofy. Why would she do that? Okay, Miss, I have amnesia. Are you forgetting all the things that she did to you? Like the vindictive, evil, malicious things that she did to you, how she treated you, like how she had you out in the house, put you out of the house, calling you out of your name and stuff like that. Are you forgetting? It was as if she had amnesia and didn't remember anything that my mom had did to her. And I was not understanding because I'm like, how do you forget? And she's rolling along with the gossip train, rolling along with the lie train, like just going along with it. And you know what she did? After that, I didn't even speak to mom. I was like, okay. Like I was going to ask her, but before I had the chance to ask her, my sister she had already got to her, told her what I had said, told her to read our sibling group chat, and everything. So now my mom is in there screaming and hollering again. But I'm outside on the porch. I'm not dealing with it. I'm just not, to be honest. I'm not. Like, I was already done when she was talking about me like how she was talking about me on the phone. And hearing how she was talking about me like I was not her daughter. I was like, okay. Like, yeah, I see what type of time you're on. And, like, it's just not. Nope. It was a clear nope for me. So that happens. She going off about that. Then it's like another day goes by and she acting real just like petty, walking around like not saying nothing to me, but low-key expecting me to come and bow down to her and say something to her. No, you did me wrong. You assumed you knew what I was doing. You assumed that. And you started to spread lies and smear my name and do this character assassination in the same way that that church did, in the same way that that pastor was doing. You were doing the same exact thing, but you didn't like him. And I always knew that she and him had the same things in common, and that's why they didn't like each other, because they were mirrors to each other. So the final day, the day before I had called my dad and I had told him like, yeah, I can't do this. Like something's going on. Like she doing all this and stuff like that. I'm thinking he listening to me. No, he goes into the room and he gets to talking to her. She in there talking about me like a dog to my dad. I come in there to get ready to go upstairs. And I hear her say stuff like, yeah, she ain't never been, she insecure and she ain't confident in herself. She ain't never liked herself. She always wanted to be white. She ain't never liked being in her, comfortable in her own skin. And that's why she was out there with them white people acting like this. And she trying to run my house. And she was saying stuff like, that's why when she was that's what it showed when she was in Vegas and she was doing her real estate videos and trying to talk white and all this stuff. And just talking about me so nasty, y'all. So nasty. And I'm hearing this. And I just break down because I cannot believe my mama is in there talking about me like this to my father. To my father. Making up lies, assuming all these things. Mind you, she didn't even like him like a few days ago, but now all of a sudden she needs somebody to listen to her lies. She needs somebody to manipulate. So who she picked the easiest target? Yeah, I can manipulate him. She can manipulate my sister because my sister act like she's just so desperate for her acceptance. So it was easy for her to get them. So she had her easy targets who she could manipulate. And like I said, she can tell a story and you'll believe it by the way that she tell it. And it's all bullcrap. It's all lies. And she's just talking about me like I did so much to her when I didn't do nothing. I didn't do nothing. What I did was for me. It was for me to heal a part of me that I needed to close the chapter on. But she made it about her. So the next day, I get up and I go out to take my dog to the bathroom. And when I take my dog to the bathroom, my dad comes outside and he's like, "Have you talked to your mom?" And I was like, "No, she ain't talked to me. Like she giving me the silence treatment. I don't do that. I don't do that because that's what you used to do to me when I was younger, and you expected me to come and say something to you and apologize to you when you're the one who started all the things with me, just provoking me. And that's what it was giving the whole time. She wanted me to be provoked. So after all the gossiping about me, after all the character assassination and smearing my name and things like that, after she did all of that, she was not getting a reaction out of me like she would have. God was telling me, stay quiet. Stay quiet. Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. And I was being obedient because it was keeping my peace. And I knew that regardless of if I said something to her or not, it was going to be the same exact result. So after my dad had said that, I was like, "No, she ain't talked to me." And he like, "That's not right. You living in her house. That's disrespectful." I'm like, "How is it disrespectful when she's giving me the silent treatment? That is abusive. Like you don't talk about somebody like how she was talking about me on the phone and to you like a dog, like I'm not her child, and then decide you want to give me the silent treatment and expect me to come to you apologizing and bowing down and begging for your attention. Like, no, that's not cool." So I tell my dad that, and he goes into the house. And when he goes in the house, he goes into the basement. And she's like, "Excuse me, husband. And he like, "I'm busy." And then I walk in after, and I'm getting my laptop and stuff. And she like, "Because I'm just trying to understand how you can be in somebody's house and not speak to them and all this stuff." And I was like, "I'm not speaking to you." I was like, "You didn't speak to me. You were talking about me. You have a problem with me." And she just started like going off, like literally just saying all this stuff. And like I can't even remember a lot of the stuff she said because I was tuning her out because I was trying to keep my peace for all that time. Luckily, my brother was in the bathroom that morning from the beginning of that to the end, and he knew exactly what happened from start to finish so that she could not sit there and lie and say that I started something with her and that I started disrespecting her and I started jumping up in her face because she loves to lie and say that I did stuff like that I never did. So like as she constantly going off, I'm getting the Iggy like, all right, it's about that time. Luckily, the night before I had already packed all my stuff up in my bags, set them in the corner, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna put my stuff in my car, get my dogs a bath, and then in the morning we'll head to Colorado. Nope. God said, "It's time for you to go now. It's time for you to go now." So I start to go upstairs because she on that type of time just start constantly just saying stuff, just hateful, evil stuff to me. And I'm going upstairs to get my stuff. She pulls a knife and starts trying to charge at me. And my dad grabs her or whatever. My sister, she like pushing me upstairs, like screaming like, "Oh my gosh, she got a knife." And I'm like not even scared because I'm like, I'm not scared of her. I'll go up there, grab a couple of my bags, take them out. She's still saying stuff to me. She started talking. Like, when I come downstairs, she says something like, "Your fault that I went to that church and you had me in that church." So now it's my fault that she was at the church, that she did what she did at that church. It was my fault that she went to the church to apologize like she said that God told her to. It's my fault that she did that. No, it was your fault that I got jumped. How about that? Like, since we want to blame people, how about I blame you for me getting jumped? Like, no. So she's saying that, and I'm like, no, you made a choice when you went to that church. You made a choice. You made that Facebook post. You said all those things. Nobody told you to do that. You did it on your own. But you're blaming me for it. So she constantly saying all this hateful, evil stuff. I'm getting my stuff. My dad told her, you stay out the house. Just stay out the house. And he trying to hold her back after she just tried to pull a knife on me, because apparently that's normal. Like, it's okay for her to pull knives on people. So I'm standing outside and I'm just like, you are such an evil person, because the mask that she had on for that whole time, it was fully off and she was fully revealed. God had fully revealed what was operating behind her in front of me. And he had fully revealed the spirit that was at work in her against me that whole time. So she's saying all this stuff about me, like I came to her house to cause all these problems. She's saying all this. She's saying I'm jealous because she's married. Like, why would I be jealous of my mom being married? That is the weirdest thing that I've ever heard in my life. Why would it? She's calling me B words. She's calling me H words. She's calling me a witch. Talking about I used to deal in witchcraft and all this stuff. Like, throwing stuff of my past in my face. Like, mind you, I was never a witch. I was never a witch. I unknowingly got into divination. I unknowingly got into that stuff, thinking that it was actually good for me, thinking that mushrooms was good for me, LSD was good for me, thinking that it was going to open my mind and help me heal all these parts of me. I got into that stuff unknowingly. I went to psychics thinking differently about the whole spirituality thing, thinking that it was a universal thing, when the whole time I was lost. That is parts that are, those are things that are a part of my testimony that helps me bring my that helped bring me close to God and ultimately surrender to him. So here she is throwing all that in my face, and that is nothing but the enemy. Nothing but the enemy using her as a tool to come against me. So I'm getting upset, and I had got upset to a point where I had like hit my dog's cage off of the porch, and I'm calling her evil. I'm saying that she is just a nasty, wicked person, and that is exactly why people don't like her, and that is exactly why she always falling out with people, because how you this old and no, you ain't got no friends? It's always a problem with somebody, and you are always the victim. That is a red flag. And I'm so glad that it was revealed to me that it was not always that was not always the case. That it was not always the case. So she doing all that, and then it had got to a point where I had stepped in the house and I said, if you're gonna kill me, kill me. And I looked at her, I said, if you're gonna kill me, because I'm not afraid of you. And then she she come charging at me again. She come charging at me with like a clean a spin brush thingy to like hit me with. And then I just like close the door, like I'm not about to do this. And then she standing at the door, I'm standing at the door, and I look into her eyes. And it was like in that moment that the Holy Spirit had stopped me from being upset, and he just washed the calmness over me. And I had paused, and I looked her in her eyes, and I said, oh, you're Jezebel. Not saying that she's Jezebel, but that's the spirit that was at work in that moment. I said, this is Jezebel. I was like, you're Jezebel. I was like, that's Jezebel. So after that, I had called that spirit out by name. She went and sat in a chair, and all of a sudden, that ain't my daughter. That ain't my daughter. That's an evil spirit. That's an evil spirit. That's a B. That's an H. That's all this. And she just saying all this stuff. And I'm like, that's Jezebel. After that, I called the police. I was like, oh, she want to play these games, pulling knives. I called the police, told them that she pulled a knife on me. They arrested her, took her to the hospital, because I told them that she need psychiatric, she need to be in psych or something. They need to do an evaluation or something, because she going to grab, the police comes, she got her hand behind. Arrest me, sir. Arrest me, sir. Arrest me. Like, just being crazy. And the cop is looking at her like, and he was like, she got a history of mental illness. I didn't even say it. I didn't even say it. They said it. She got a history of mental illness. I said, it's in her family. Yeah. So all while she getting arrested, she talking about call my sister, telling them to call my sister, get her on FaceTime and stuff like that, as if that was supposed to like, oh no, you're calling my sister. Like, no. Then my sister sent me this long text message the night before about how I played, like I said, I was being petty and messy and all this stuff. Like everything that she had said was such a huge assumption. It was the furthest thing from the truth. And she had texted that long paragraph full of lies that she heard from my mama. I didn't even respond. Because I'm like, this is stupid. Like, I have never in my life seen something so stupid in my life. Like, I've never seen it. So, yeah, all that happened, and that was it. That was like cut, snip, snip, done. I packed my stuff up in my car. They told me that I needed to go to the hospital with her and tell them what's been going on. So I'm following them to the hospital, and my dad's in front of me, and he calls me like, "You already escalated. Why are you trying to escalate it more?" I'm like, "They told me to go to the hospital," and he like, "I got it. Just go get your stuff out of the house." And I'm just disgusted with him because I'm like, "You're supposed to be the man of the house. You're supposed to be the father." And you know exactly how she is, and you know that she's wrong, and you're not doing anything to tell you, like you're not holding her accountable at all. I was so just done. Like I couldn't even be angry. I was just done because I'm like, they gonna forever be in this cycle, and that is all up to them. That's their fault. Like I did what I needed to do, and God was telling me the whole time that it was time for me to go. And he was revealing to me what was happening. He revealed to me everything that I needed to see and confirmed everything that I needed to confirm. Because I would always ask God, if these people have spirits within them, like how the church was calling me a demon, how my mama calling me a demon, and these people are saved, why are they getting rid of the person who is supposedly being tormented by these spirits? Why aren't they delivering them out? Because it has nothing to do with that person having spirits in them. It has a lot to do with them having spirits in them, but those demonic spirits don't want to be exposed, so they got to point the finger to distract everybody from what the truth actually is. My mom has been given over to a reprobate mind, and she doesn't even know it. She has assassinated my character. She has falsely accused me. She has told everybody all these lies, made up all these scenarios and assumptions, and people are believing her and their lies straight from the devil. That is the Jezebel spirit. That is the spirit that has tried to destroy me from childhood. When I was out here wanting to do the same thing that men were doing to me and other women to them, that was the Jezebel spirit. When I wanted to have control, that was the Jezebel spirit. And that is the spirit that she's operating in. When I called out that spirit, do you know that my dad said that Jezebel was a whore? An elder of a church, the one who reads the Bible. My mom took it as me throwing her past up in her face because she didn't know what Jezebel was. They only see her as a whore. No. Jezebel was married to Ahab. Jezebel ran Ahab. She ran the kingdom. She had the prophets. She was doing whatever she could to get Ahab whatever he wanted. She falsely accused that man so that he could get killed, so that Ahab could get his land. Ahab went crying to her. Jezebel had the control. And a lot of people don't understand what the spirit of Jezebel is. It's not a female spirit. It's not a male spirit. It's a spirit. It doesn't have a gender. So it can be in a man and it can be in a woman. That's why it was in that pastor, and that's why it's in my mom. She's been given over to a reprobate mind. God was using me to warn her the entire time, and she was not listening. But I know that God is a God of restoration, and I know that he can turn anything around at any moment in time. That's why I don't hold any grudge against her. And that is why she is forgiven. And that's why I stay praying for her and my dad, because I know that what they're under is severe demonic oppression, and they don't know it because they're so religious mindset Their mindset is so stuck on religion and the religious practices that they're not actually seeing God for what he truly is. They don't have the knowledge. And that's why God says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Because if you don't know these things, you will not be able to recognize them when they are in you. So, yeah, all that happened and it needed to happen. I was rejected for the final time. And it didn't hurt me the way that it should have hurt me. That spirit was upset because it didn't have access to me anymore. It didn't have control over me. It couldn't manipulate me anymore. That spirit rejected me, used my mom and my family to reject me because it knew that I knew exactly what it was. It knew that I was starting to see through the cracks and that the mask was starting to slip. And it needed to get me out of there. Because as long as I'm away, the Spirit of God is not present. The Spirit of God is not working by planting these holy seeds that could eventually blossom into something beautiful. No. God had to get me out of there. He got me out of there for my protection because he knew that if I stayed there any longer, it would have taken me back to a place that he had delivered me out of. And I thank him every single day because what happened after was so God-coded, y'all. Like, I kid you not. I kid you not. Like, I'm trying to tell y'all, like, whew. After I left Michigan, actually, before I left Michigan, after all that happened, God immediately started making provision for me. Immediately. Immediately. So I didn't have anywhere to go. I was going to sleep in my car and then wake up the next morning, hit the road, go to Colorado. God used my brother, he used my sister, and he used her friend to get me a hotel room for that night where they accepted my dogs. Nothing but God. I had enough money to get me from Michigan to Colorado. I didn't have a registration. I didn't have no insurance. I didn't have no place to go to. And I just prayed my way there. I was not bothered by anybody. When I got to Colorado, we stayed in a motel for 3 nights. And I asked if I could start work early because I needed to. I'm like, I'm here, I might as well work. And I needed to make money because I'm like, I got to get my apartment. I was looking for apartments that day and the next day. And then it just wasn't like they were nice, but they didn't feel like where I was supposed to be. And I remember I had a dream where God was whispering Lakewood 3733. So I was like, oh, let me look in Lakewood. I look in Lakewood and I find this apartment that was not coming up all while I was looking at Detroit. This apartment was not coming up any time when I was looking at Detroit. So I'm looking, and then I go down to that apartment. It's in Lakewood, Colorado. I get to this apartment, and they show me the apartment. It's nice. It's not like super modern, but it's nice. And they tell me, yeah, and when you get approved at move-in, you get a $1,200 gift card that you can use towards move-in. I didn't know if I was going to get approved because of the whole eviction thing that I told y'all about, because I already got denied when I applied for an apartment in Detroit. So I applied with faith. I got approved. My credit score is not the greatest. It's not the greatest. It's below. I got approved the next day. Not even 24 hours. I've never been approved for an apartment that fast. It usually takes a week, 2 weeks. I got approved the next day. After that, I couldn't leave my dogs in a motel by themselves. So I needed to find somewhere for them to go. I'm looking and I'm trying to find like dog daycare. That's expensive. Everything is expensive. Then I pray to God and I'm like, Lord, what am I going to do with these dogs? I go to sleep. I wake up that next morning and God tells me to take them to Vegas to my ex. So I drive to Vegas. I call him and I let him know, like, yeah, I think, like, would you be able to keep the dogs? Because I start work Monday. I can't leave them in the car. If I don't have anywhere to take them, I won't be able to start work. He says yes. Sends me gas money by the grace of God. And I get to Vegas that night. Stayed the night with him. I slept in his bed. He slept in the living room on an air mattress. And then I left to come back to Colorado. I'm homeless. I'm homeless for 2 weeks. I get back so quick because I'm like, I have to go to church. Like, I have to go to that church that God told me to go to. I get to the church. The first person that introduces themselves to me, greets me, is the pastor and his wife. They ask me how I hear about the church, and I tell them that God told me to come to their church. Do you know how excited they were to hear that? So he does his sermon, and it is biblically sound. God told me a while ago, before I went to Detroit, what he wanted to do with me. And he mentioned he wanted me to lead a small group. This church is a church of small groups, not with small groups, of small groups. They were having leadership training that day. I went to the training to get information, got all the information that I needed. After that, they were doing 21 days of prayer, and it was in the last week, so I went to every single one except one. And the things that God did through those prayers. I've never been to a church where so many people show up to prayer night. This is every single day. A lot of people are showing up. Every single day I'm meeting somebody new. I prayed to God and I said, Lord, I need a Naomi, a woman with wisdom, godly wisdom, who can help me, who can assist me and lead me in the right directions, because I want to be a wife. I know that I'm called to be a wife. I know that I'm called to be a mother. And I want to do this the way that you desire me to do it, not the way that I think I should do it. I want to learn from the past. I've been surrounded by nothing but older women of God since I've been here. I was homeless for 2 weeks. I did not need or want for nothing. I signed up for a gym membership, did not have to pay a dime to sign up, not even the monthly fee. Took my showers at the gym, had food to eat by the end of the night. I was not bothered while I was sleeping in my car by police, by nobody. I started work as a behavior therapist. I prayed to God and asked him to make me a counselor of high school students without having to go through the trouble of getting a degree, because I know that God can make anything happen, because this is a world that God created. So if God created it, that means that he has the power over everything. So no matter what man says, what God says is the only thing that matters. So I know that God's going to do it. But he set me up to be a behavior therapist. My mom was back home telling everybody, trying to manipulate everybody into believing her twisted, diluted side of the story. And on the worst thing about it is that she's even created sides. For me, it was never about sides. It was about what was right and what was wrong. It was never about side because, like I said, I don't divide things. And that's all she's been doing, is dividing. God has blessed me ever since I stepped foot into Colorado. I am always meeting somebody who needs to hear a revelation from God. And just by me talking to them, they get that. But I was the evil spirit. I was demonic. I was a witch. None of this could have been possible without God. God confirmed to me multiple times about setting boundaries, and Jesus himself needed to get in the way and going against the grain of what his family did. That is the call on my life. I'm rewriting the story for my bloodline. And I reached my breakthrough, the first of many breakthroughs. I am in a restoration season because of all of the obedience that I had to God. All while the enemy is behind, spreading lies about me. I didn't want to do my testimony because I was so nervous about it. And he was telling me that I need to do my testimony when I was back there. And I was like, no, this is it makes me nervous because I know that I have to tell the whole truth. And I just told the whole truth. I want my testimony to be a testament for somebody else to know you don't have to be afraid of anything as long as you are surrendered to God. And I mean fully surrendered to him, meaning he leads you. He's running the show. You just following his instructions. And that is all that I have been doing. I moved into my apartment 2 days ago. I only paid $112 to move into my apartment. I had to pay I had to pay a $1,500 security deposit. No. I paid $987. And I got that money from my job because I was able to start early. I didn't have to pay my first month's rent because they provided a gift card that covered my rent. I only had to pay the difference, which was $112. Nobody can tell me that God is not real. Nobody. Because if it was up to me, I would have lived further. I live 7 minutes away from my church. This is not a typical apartment that I would have lived in, but it's good enough because what God has for me later on is going to surpass all of this. God was teaching me how to be a steward even in my homelessness because I had very little money. He was teaching me in those moments. He was revealing things to me in those moments. He was with me, carrying me, speaking to me, encouraging me. I don't care what anybody has to say. My heart beats for God, Jesus, Yahweh, Jehovah Jireh. I take my faith very seriously. And I want to make the impact that God created me to make. And if I'm not doing that, then what am I doing? The best thing I ever did in my life was repent. And ever since then, the devil has tried to tear me down, and he's failed each time because I don't fight the devil. God fights him for me. I want this to be encouraging for somebody out there. I want you to believe. I want you to acknowledge the fact that you have a choice, and that choice is you choose the Father or you choose your own way. Allow God to lead you. He got you. He created you. He knows everything about you. Don't let the things of this world distract you from the fact that when you die, you go somewhere. You want to end up in the place of life with Jesus. I promise you. I pray every single day for my family because I want them to be set free. I know he's about to do something miraculous in my ex's life because I can feel it. I know it's about to happen. All these things are not happening to me because I have a demonic spirit, because I'm a witch. It's happening to me because I am a faithful, loyal servant to Jesus Christ. So, yeah, that is my testimony. And it's only going to get greater from here. Like, I can't wait to see the things that God's about to do with me. Like, I'm already getting glimpses of it, and it's just blowing my mind. But I just can't wait to see it. Like, he's so crazy. Like, he's so crazy. The things that happen to me, I'm just like, Lord, you are so crazy, because how do you come up with these things? Like, how do you do these things? He just does. And I love him so much. And I want to be an example to everybody out there and let them know that it is not about religion. God didn't call you to be Catholic. He didn't call you to be Christian. He didn't call you to be Lutheran. He didn't call you to be Protestant, Presbyterian, or whatever the heck it is. He didn't call you to be any of those things. Jesus said, pick up your cross and follow me. He didn't say follow a religion. So let the religious stuff go and actually follow Jesus so that you can finally get somewhere with Jesus, because that's the only way. I had to learn that. I grew up in a church, and I still wound up into New Age. Jesus is the only way. But I am so relieved that I finally got this out, y'all. There is so much more to come to this channel. I cannot wait to share it all. I am going to finally get some proper rest, because I've been up for the last 2 nights trying to film this testimony, and then it's deleted, and then there's things that, yeah, it's been a mess. But I love you guys with the love of Christ, and I just cannot wait to be on this journey with y'all. I hope that this blesses you. I hope that this encourages you. And again, this was never about bashing anybody. I have no animosity towards anybody, but the truth is the truth. And if that hurts you, then the truth is doing exactly what it was meant to do. I pray you guys have a wonderful rest of your night or day or whatever time you're watching this. I will see you in the next video. God bless y'all. I love y'all. Bye.